You have spent years trying to be understood, explaining yourself, softening your opinions so no one gets uncomfortable, checking a room before you speak just to see who's watching, rehearsing a sentence in your head 3 times before you say it out loud, just to make sure no one could possibly misread it. And somewhere along the way, you called this being considerate. It wasn't. It was a transaction. You gave away pieces of your mind in exchange for being liked. Here is the fact almost no one tells you. The moment you stop needing someone's approval, you take back a kind of power they didn't know they were holding over you. Not anger, not revenge, just absence of need. You know this feeling already. The small flinch when someone doesn't text back. The mental replay of a conversation wondering if you said too much. The relief, the actual physical relief, when someone approves of you. The quiet dread before you send a message that might disappoint someone. That relief is the leash. And most people spend their whole life on it, mistaking the tug for connection, mistaking the leash for love, mistaking the constant checking for care. Ask yourself, honestly, how many decisions this year were shaped less by what you actually wanted, and more by how you imagined someone else would react to them? The job you didn't apply for. The opinion you kept to yourself at the table. The relationship you extended past its natural ending, because ending it would have required a conversation you weren't ready to have. Add those moments up and you start to see the actual size of the leash. This is not a video about becoming cold. It's about becoming complete enough that other people's opinions stop being oxygen. By the end of this, you will understand why one of history's most misread philosophers called solitude a form of strength, not punishment, and why a psychologist decades later discovered that walking away from the crowd isn't isolation. It's the price of becoming yourself. Here is the transformation this video is actually offering you. Not a trick to make people like you more. Not a script for confidence. Something quieter and far more permanent. The day you no longer need to be understood, agreed with, or validated, you stop being controllable. Think about that word. Controllable. There is a specific, almost physical shift that happens when a person becomes genuinely comfortable being alone with themselves. Not performing solitude for an audience. Actually comfortable, alone, in a quiet room, needing nothing from anyone on the other side of the door. The moment that happens, something changes in how much power other people have over that person, and it changes permanently. Every person who has ever successfully manipulated you did it through one lever: your need for their approval, their attention, or their good opinion of you. Remove the lever and the mechanism has nothing left to pull. This is not philosophy for its own sake. This is architecture, for your nervous system, for your relationships, for the way you walk into a room. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them wonder why you didn't explain yourself. Let them wonder why you seem suddenly unreachable. That discomfort you feel imagining it, that's not weakness. That's the leash tightening one last time before it snaps. In the late 1800s, a philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche wrote about something he called the will to power, not power over other people, but the deeper drive in every human being to grow, to overcome, to become the author of their own values instead of borrowing someone else's. Here's a concrete detail worth knowing. Nietzsche didn't develop this philosophy in a lecture hall, surrounded by colleagues. He developed most of it walking alone in the mountains near a small Swiss village called Sils Maria, after ending a long and important friendship with the composer Richard Wagner, a friendship that had once defined his entire social world. That break cost him almost every mutual friend he had. He wrote his most important work in near total isolation, chronically ill, largely unread in his own lifetime. He wasn't rewarded for it. Not while he was alive. Maybe you already know a version of this feeling. The version of you that speaks a hard truth in a room, and watches the room go quiet instead of grateful. No applause. No relief. Just silence and the sinking sense that you said something you can't take back. That silence is exactly where "let them wonder" starts to matter. Because the untrained reaction is to fill it, to explain, to soften, to walk it back until the room feels comfortable again. The trained reaction is to let the silence sit there, unexplained, and let them wonder what you actually meant. Here is the mechanism. Nietzsche noticed that most people never actually choose their beliefs. They inherit them, from family, from culture, from whatever crowd they were raised inside of. He called this inherited, unquestioned morality, herd morality. Comfortable, safe, and almost entirely unconscious. And this is where the real distinction begins, the one this video is built on. Intelligence is knowing facts. Consciousness is knowing why you believe what you believe, and having the nerve to question it anyway. Most people are intelligent. Very few are conscious. Nietzsche's answer to this was radical for his time, and it's still radical now. Become your own lawgiver. Stop asking the crowd what's true. Start asking yourself what you can actually stand behind, even if no one else claps for it. Herd morality doesn't announce itself with a label. It shows up as the career path you never questioned, the relationship you stayed in too long, the opinion you repeated word for word from someone louder than you. Think about the last time you held an opinion, and quietly abandoned it the second someone raised an eyebrow. That wasn't open-mindedness. That was the herd pulling you back into formation. Nietzsche called the people who resist this pull free spirits, and he was honest about the cost. Free spirits are often alone. Not because people reject them exactly, but because agreement requires a kind of shrinking that a self-authored person simply refuses to do anymore. This is the payoff of that walk near Sils Maria, and it's exactly what the title of this video is pointing at. Nietzsche didn't become powerful because he defeated the herd. He became untouchable to it, simply by getting comfortable enough alone that the herd's opinion of him stopped being currency he needed. This is worth sitting with because it means the loneliness isn't a side effect to be fixed. It's a natural consequence of no longer performing the shrinking act everyone else has silently agreed to keep performing for one another. There's a second concept Nietzsche built next to this one, and it explains why so many people quit the process halfway through. He called it self-overcoming, the idea that growth isn't a single decision made once in a dramatic moment. It's a repeated act. Every single day, the old, comfortable version of you has to be defeated again by the version that wants to keep growing. Most people mistake one moment of courage for the whole transformation. They speak up once, disagree once, walk away once, and then wait for the discomfort to end. It doesn't end. It repeats. And that repetition is precisely why so many people give up after the first hard conversation, the first uncomfortable boundary, the first time they disappointed someone and survived it anyway. They expected the discomfort to be a one-time toll. It isn't. It's a subscription. The version of you that keeps paying it is the only version that actually keeps growing. Nietzsche described the goal of this repeated effort with an image, not a destination. The Übermensch, the self-overcomer, a horizon a person walks toward, never a finish line they cross. It's not a superior type of human. It's a direction. Someone who keeps choosing growth over the comfort of staying exactly who the crowd already approved of. Think about how differently you'd move through a hard week if you treated your discomfort as a direction to walk toward, instead of a problem to escape as fast as possible. Nietzsche also drew a hard line between two kinds of people, and it's worth sitting with, because most people quietly assume they're already on the right side of it. There are those who create values and those who obey them, unexamined, having taken the rulebook they were handed at 15 without ever asking who wrote it. The rulebook usually says things like, be agreeable. Don't make people uncomfortable. Keep the peace even at the cost of your own voice. None of this was written by you. It was written by whoever benefited from your compliance. Nietzsche had a brutal way of testing whether a belief, a relationship, or a choice was actually worth keeping. He called it the test of eternal recurrence. Imagine living this exact same choice, this exact same relationship, this exact same silence. Over and over, infinitely, forever. If the thought makes you sick, that's your answer. Most people never run this test on their own life. They keep performing the same explanation, the same apology, the same self-shrinking loop, without ever asking if they could stand to repeat it forever. There's also a warning inside Nietzsche's philosophy that most people who quote him skip entirely. He was deeply suspicious of pity, not compassion, but the specific habit of shrinking yourself so someone else doesn't have to feel small next to you. He believed pity, offered too freely, can quietly rob the other person of their own strength and rob you of yours. Think about how often you've softened your own success, your own clarity, your own progress, because someone nearby was struggling, and your fullness felt like an accusation. That's not kindness. That's the herd morality again, wearing a gentler mask. Here's the part almost nobody tells you about this kind of solitude. It doesn't feel like strength at first. It feels like loss. And there's a reason for that, a reason that has less to do with philosophy, and more to do with what happens inside your mind the moment you actually start separating from the crowd. That mechanism has a name. And it was discovered by someone who took Nietzsche's solitary individual, and turned it into a psychological process every human being is capable of going through. Before we go further, one thing worth saying plainly. If this framework is already rearranging how you see your own relationships, the approval seeking, the leash, the herd, that's usually the sign a video is actually worth staying with. Hit subscribe if you want to keep building this kind of clarity block by block, because what comes next is the part most people never get taught. What actually happens in your mind when you stop performing for the room? Let's go back in. Carl Jung, a psychologist working decades after Nietzsche, gave a name to the process the free spirit goes through: individuation. It's the lifelong process of becoming a distinct, whole self, instead of remaining an unconscious extension of the family, the culture, or the crowd you were raised inside. There's a concrete moment behind this theory, and it matters. In 1913, Jung broke professionally and personally from Sigmund Freud, the man who had mentored him and for years treated him almost like a chosen successor. The break was public, painful, and cost Jung most of his professional circle overnight. What followed was a period Jung himself described as a kind of psychological crisis. Years spent largely alone, without the professional community that had defined his identity, forced to sit with unsettling images and impulses instead of running from them. Individuation wasn't an abstract theory Jung invented from a comfortable distance. It was the map he drew while walking through that exact isolation himself. Notice how closely this mirrors Nietzsche's language, even though Jung was working in a clinic, not a philosophy text. Two vocabularies describing the exact same fracture. The moment a person stops being a copy of everyone around them. Jung noticed something almost identical to Nietzsche's herd morality. He called it participation mystique, a state where a person's identity is so fused with the group that they can't tell where the collective ends and their own mind begins. Their opinions, their fears, even their sense of right and wrong, borrowed. Never examined. Individuation begins with a fracture. The moment you start thinking a thought the group didn't approve first. And here is the mechanism that explains why this feels so lonely. Jung argued that everything the collective rejects in itself, its selfishness, its anger, its forbidden desires, doesn't disappear. It gets pushed into what he called the shadow. And the shadow doesn't stay contained. It gets projected onto whoever refuses to conform. This is why the person who starts thinking independently often becomes, almost overnight, difficult, cold, too much. They didn't change. They stopped absorbing the group's unexamined material, and the group, uncomfortable with what that surfaces in itself, aims it back at them. Think about someone in your own life who quietly withdrew once from a group opinion, and was suddenly treated like a threat. They weren't punished for being wrong. They were punished for being separate. Jung described another mechanism sitting right underneath this one: the persona. It's the mask you built early to be acceptable to whoever raised you, whoever surrounded you, whoever held approval over your head. For most people, the mask gets worn so long it stops feeling like a mask. Feels like identity. Individuation requires prying that mask off, piece by piece, and discovering, underneath it, a self that was never actually asked what it wanted. This is uncomfortable work, and Jung was specific about the tool for it. He called it active imagination. Sitting with an uncomfortable feeling, a recurring dream, a persistent irritation, instead of immediately explaining it away, and asking what part of you it's actually representing. This is the exact tool Jung built for himself during those isolated years after the break with Freud. A way to face what surfaced in the silence, instead of running from it back toward the crowd he'd lost. Most people skip this step entirely. They feel the discomfort of the mask slipping, and instead of investigating it, they rush to put the mask back on, and apologize to whoever noticed it slip. Jung noticed something else, almost as an aside, that turns out to matter enormously here. The more a person avoids their own shadow side, the parts they've pushed out of view, the more they need the crowd's approval to feel whole. Approval becomes a substitute for the self-knowledge they never went looking for. Which means every time you chase someone's validation instead of sitting with your own discomfort, you're not becoming more connected. You're becoming more dependent on a mirror you didn't build. Jung gave the destination of this whole process a simple name: wholeness. Not the mask. Not the borrowed opinions. The point where the conscious mind and everything it had exiled finally sit in the same room, without one needing to defeat the other. Jung traced the origin of the persona back further than most people expect. Not to adulthood, but to early childhood, to the exact moments a child first learns which parts of themselves get rewarded with love, and which parts get met with silence, punishment, or withdrawal. The rewarded parts become the persona. The rest gets quietly filed away into the shadow, long before the person is old enough to consent to the trade. This is why the approval seeking we've been describing rarely feels like a choice. Feels like survival. Because once, a very long time ago, it actually was. Think of a child praised only when they achieved something, and met with distance when they simply felt something. Sadness, anger, need. That child doesn't conclude, consciously, I should hide my emotions. They simply learn in their body long before language, that achievement is safe and vulnerability is not. Decades later, that same person over-explains a simple feeling to a partner, apologizes for having a bad day, and calls it being easy to be around. It isn't ease. It's an old survival strategy still running, long after the danger it was built for has disappeared. Jung was careful about one thing, and it matters here. Individuation is not permanent isolation. It's a passage. The solitude is a stage, not a sentence. A necessary distance the psyche needs, in order to stop borrowing an identity and start building one. But here's the part that connects directly back to Nietzsche's free spirit, and it's the piece almost no one puts together. The people who successfully complete this passage stop needing the crowd's verdict on who they are. And once that need is gone, something happens to the people who used to hold power over them. Their opinions stop landing. Their disapproval stops stinging. Their approval, the thing you used to chase, becomes almost irrelevant. That's not arrogance. That's what Jung would call psychological autonomy. And it comes at a price nobody warns you about until they've already paid it. Nietzsche made an observation that still holds up uncomfortably well. Most people don't actually want truth. They want psychological safety. And when truth threatens that safety, threatens an identity, a belief, a comfortable self-image, people don't examine it. They attack the messenger. This is the real reason independent thought gets punished socially, long before it gets punished intellectually. A crowd doesn't need your argument to be wrong. It only needs your argument to be inconvenient. Here's the mechanism in plain terms. Certainty feels safer than accuracy. The herd protects its members not by seeking what's true, but by seeking what's agreed upon. Agreement becomes a currency. And the moment you stop trading in it, you become, in the eyes of the group, unreadable, because you're no longer reacting the way they expect. This is where manipulation loses its grip. This is the moment the title of this video describes. Not comfort as passivity, comfort as a closed door. A person who is genuinely fine being alone with their own thoughts has nothing left for anyone else to hold hostage. Every manipulative dynamic, stripped down to its mechanics, runs on the same three-step sequence. Identify what the target needs, threaten to withhold it, then offer it back conditionally in exchange for compliance. Approval, attention, affection, belonging, the specific need doesn't matter. What matters is that a need exists for the mechanism to grip onto in the first place. Take away the need, and the sequence has nowhere to land. Step 1 fails before step 2 can even begin, because there's nothing left for the manipulator to threaten withholding. Manipulation, at its core, always requires a target who needs something from the manipulator: attention, approval, belonging, reassurance. Nietzsche's free spirit and Jung's individuated self share the same defense mechanism, even though they were writing decades apart. Neediness removed is leverage removed. Think about the people in your life who seem impossible to control. Not aggressive, not defensive, just unmoved. That stillness isn't a personality trait. It's the output of exactly what we've been describing, a self no longer built out of borrowed opinions, no longer wired to flinch at disapproval. Picture two versions of the same conversation. In the first, someone raises their voice expecting the usual reaction. Over-explaining, apologizing, backing down before the sentence even finishes. In the second version, the same voice gets raised and the room simply doesn't move. No defense. No collapse. Just a level gaze waiting for the noise to end. The second version isn't rehearsed. It's what happens automatically once approval is no longer the currency being protected. And it disarms people far faster than any argument ever could, because there's nothing left in the room for their pressure to grip onto. There's a related idea Nietzsche called amor fati, the love of one's fate. Not resignation. Not pretending hardship doesn't hurt. Something closer to refusing to spend your remaining energy wishing your life, your circumstances, your isolation were different than they are. Most people fight their present moment instead of standing inside it. They resent the solitude instead of examining what it's built for. And that resentment is exactly what keeps them running back to the herd for comfort, the very comfort that put the leash on them in the first place. Break the need for approval and the entire loop loses its power source. Picture two people receiving the exact same piece of criticism. One of them spends the rest of the day replaying it, softening their next move, quietly editing themselves to prevent it from happening again. The other one hears it, considers it once, keeps what's useful, and lets the rest pass through without residue. Same criticism. Two completely different nervous systems. And the difference between them isn't confidence, exactly. It's the absence of a lever for anyone else to pull. We asked earlier what happens in the mind the moment someone truly separates from the crowd. The answer is this: for a period it hurts because the mind briefly has no external mirror telling it who it is. Old relationships built on your compliance start to feel unstable. Some of them collapse outright. People you once needed approval from suddenly seem smaller, almost confused by your indifference. This is not a malfunction. This is the exact moment the leash was designed to prevent. Here is the most uncomfortable truth in this entire video, and it's the one Nietzsche and Jung from very different centuries, both arrived at independently. The people who love you least honestly are often the ones most invested in you staying exactly as needy, as agreeable, as predictable as you've always been. Not because they're cruel. Because your need for them was the proof of their importance. Take that need away, not with anger, not with a speech, just with quiet detachment, and you will find out almost instantly who valued you, and who valued being needed by you. You will watch some relationships adjust quietly to a new and steadier version of you. And you will watch others get strangely agitated by your calm, pushing harder, testing whether the old lever still works, growing frustrated when it doesn't. That frustration isn't proof you did something wrong. It's proof the lever used to work and doesn't anymore. This is the part nobody prepares you for. Detachment doesn't just remove other people's power over you. It reveals, with brutal clarity, how much of your previous life was built on being controllable. Picture the exact moment the validation stops coming, the compliment that used to arrive and suddenly doesn't, the recognition you used to count on that quietly disappears. The old you would have felt that absence like a wound. The version of you being built in this video feels it, notices it, and keeps walking anyway. Let them wonder why you didn't seem to need it after all. This is the whole transformation the title promises, happening in real time. Not becoming powerful over anyone. Becoming so comfortable inside your own company that the people who used to hold power over you simply run out of lever. And here is where Nietzsche's warning becomes essential, so this doesn't curdle into something ugly. He was explicit that the free spirit is not meant to become contemptuous of the herd. Contempt is just another form of dependence. You still need the crowd to be beneath you in order to feel above it. Jung said something almost identical about the shadow. The goal was never to destroy it, or to project superiority onto everyone still asleep. The goal was integration. Seeing clearly without needing to look down. Integration means the parts of you that used to need approval don't get exiled or shamed or pretended away. They get acknowledged, understood, and slowly outgrown. Not by force. By no longer needing what they used to need. This is the difference between detachment as armor and detachment as freedom. Armor still needs an enemy on the other side of it. Freedom doesn't need anyone on the other side at all. So the final mechanism is this, the one that turns solitude from a wound into a form of power. You stop needing people's approval. You also stop needing their disapproval. You simply stop needing a verdict from them at all. Let them wonder why you're calm. Let them wonder why you didn't argue back. Let them wonder what changed. You don't owe the explanation. The explanation was always the leash. Here is the whole idea in a single image. You've spent your life performing on a stage you never agreed to build, checking the audience's face after every line, adjusting your script to their applause. Individuation, autonomy, the free spirit, all of it points to the same exit, walking off that stage. Not to disappear. To stop needing the audience's permission to exist as yourself. There are only two ways to live from here. You keep performing, keep checking the room, keep handing your peace of mind to whoever happens to be watching. Keep editing yourself in real time, for an audience that never actually promised you anything in return. Or you become the kind of person whose calm no longer requires anyone's agreement, and you let the people who built their power on your need wonder for once what happened to the leash. This isn't a comfortable choice. It was never supposed to be. But it's yours and it's due now. Not someday, not after one more approval, one more explanation, one more person's opinion settles it for you. Every day you delay it, the mask gets a little heavier, and the stage gets a little more convincing as a permanent address. Become so comfortable alone that the people who used to hold power over you simply lose it, not because you took it from them but because you stopped handing it over. Nietzsche's free spirit and Jung's individuated self were never describing two different destinations. They were describing the same walk, seen from two different centuries. One measured in values, the other in psyche, both arriving at the same quiet room where nobody's verdict is required for you to know exactly who you are. If this shifted something in you, stay close. This channel exists for exactly this kind of clarity. Subscribe and let's keep building the mind that no longer needs permission to be itself. Let them wonder. That was always the whole answer.